Greeting to you, my viewers, and all those special appreciations, all those that have been subscribing to get comprehensive, detailed information on the subject for discussion, and that is the oil palm cultivation, how it can be integrated to diversify your investment and also create a maximum ROI, which is return on investment. Today, we're going to be looking at oil palm fruit processing, the techniques that are involved in the processing of your oil palm. How oil palm fruit is processed, again, I want to say, also impacts on the overall quality of our end product. And that is why it is very necessary to put into consideration not just the cultivation of the crop, but also how to manage all of these stages to ensure that there is maximum return on investment at the end of the day. And so we're going to be discussing on the oil palm processing. Now, processing of oil palm can be done in two ways. Processing of oil palm can be done in two ways, or can be done adopting two methods. And these methods actually involve the same basic procedure. But what differentiates one from the other is the level of advancement and technology. So the method to use actually depend on the availability and the use of technology. These two methods that can be adopted in the processing of your oil palm is the traditional method and the modern method, or what we call the automated method. I'll quickly take you through the procedures that are involved in these two methods. Again, I said that whether traditional method or the modern method, it all involves basic similar stages. The only difference, like I said, is the level of automation. So in the traditional method, what are the steps in the processing of your palm fruit? So step one, of course, we've discussed harvesting and everything we need to know about harvesting. So now the FFB, the fresh fruit bunch, has been harvested. It has been taken to the mill where processing have to be carried out. So what are the steps? In the traditional method, which is a little bit more cumbersome and where crude equipment are used, the first step after harvesting is fruit are boiled. Your fruits are placed in a drum, placed on fire, and boiled. Once the fruits are boiled enough, yes, the texture has been softened to a large extent, then the boiled fruits are pounded in mortar. So after boiling, they take the boiled fruit, place it on the mortar, where they pound it. They can use the mortar, use drums, and they pound. So the pounding is to separate the fiber from the shell. So they pound to separate the fiber and the shell. This pounding helps to ensure that the oil is extracted. So after pounding, the fibers and nuts are separated from the liquid residue. So after pounding, some quantity of water is added to the pounded palm fruit. And then with hands, a separation is made between the fibers, the nuts, and then the residue, which I will call the crude liquid. Once that separation has been done, there is further mixing. After mixing with water, the crude liquid is reboiled. So after separating your shaft, the traditional method, after separating the shaft, separating the shell, the fiber, separated from the crude oil, the crude liquid now is further diluted, and then reboiled. The reboiled crude is allowed to cool. After reboiling, you allow it to cool. The cooling process is to give rise to the oil to float on the surface of the crude. So the reboiled crude, after cooling, causes the oil to begin to flow. Of course, the oil which is less dense to the water will float on the surface of the container. And the next thing is that the floated oil will be carefully separated from the crude. So a container is used to separate the floating oil from the crude. And of course, we know that in the course of separating the oil from the crude, there's going to be unintentional addition of some water or trace of impurity. So after the separation, the last stage in the traditional method that is carried out is that the separated oil is further heated. The separated oil is further heated to eliminate any trace of water. So the traditional method basically include boiling the harvested fruit, pounding it, separating the fibers, nuts from the crude, reboiling the crude, allowing it to cool, and then the cooling give rise to floating of the oil on the surface, and that will result to separation of the oil from the crude, and further heating of the oil will ensure that every trace of water that was unintentionally added in the course of separation is completely removed. Then that is it. One thing about the traditional methods is that it is stressful. You may not be able to process more. So you are limited in the quantity of harvested fruit that you can process with that method. But talking about the modern method, which I also call the automated, where machines involves the use of machine. So the modern method involves the use of machine to extract the oil. Now, like I said, it is the same process, but the difference is that machines are used. It is automated. And this automation actually is in grade, is in level. There are automations that can be very simple, where processing can be done in batches. So, for example, each stage that is being done manually in the traditional method, machine is used in doing it. And in a simple automation, they are done, each stage is carried out in batches. But there can be a sophisticated automation whereby sophisticated machines are used. In this case, there are no batches. It's a one-way thing. From when the FFB is brought from the feed to when the final product is gotten, there is no breakage in the processing stage. Everything is done at once. That is a high level of sophistication. So whichever one, as long as machine is used, it becomes an automated method, a modern method of processing. Now, in this method, the boiled fruits are macerated. The boiled fruit are macerated to remove or separate the oil from the fiber. So, and the maceration is simply pounding. In the traditional method, the mortar and the pestle can be used, but in this case, the maceration of fruit is done by a machine. So after macerating, the macerated fruit, the pounded fruit, are put into a hand screw press. It's put into a press. The press could be hand screw, or the press could be hydraulic press. And this is used to press the macerated fruit to release or separate out the oil. Once the oil is separated out, it is reheated, because in the process of separating the oil from the crude, from the macerated fruit, there's every possibility that some other impurities and water will mixed up with it. So after the separation, further heating is done to remove any trace of water. Now, irrespective of the method used, oil palm fruit processing involves 6 basic stages. The processing of oil palm fruit, whether local method, the traditional method, or the modern method, involve 6 basic stages. And let me again run through the 6 basic stages. The first stage is reception of FFB. Reception, that is the point at which the harvested fruit is conveyed from the farm to the mill. And in some cases, the fruits, the FFB at the point of reception is weighed, so by weighing balance. But in some bigger farms, there are devices, equipment that are put in place as the vehicle is bringing in the fresh fruit bunches. It drives into a system put in place that checkmates the weight, so that you will be able to tell how many kg load of or tons of fresh fruit bunch produce a given amount or quantity of oil. So the first stage is reception, where the fruit is brought into the mill. The second stage is what we call sterilization or cooking. Sterilization or cooking. Sterilization is used for a modern processing method. In sterilization, steam, pressure is used to generate steam that helps to heat up the fresh fruit bunch. Or in the case of the traditional method, cooking is done. Now, sterilization in the process of processing your oil palm is very key. Cooking or sterilization is very important. And why I say the most important part is because no other processes can take place without this stage of sterilization. So in the modern method, sterilization is used for advanced technology and all that. And then the benefit of this boiling and sterilization is, one, it destroys enzymes and arrests hydrolysis. Don't forget, if you listen to the broadcast on harvesting of the oil palm, I said one of the challenges is the infliction of bruises. And I said these bruises can affect quality. And I said one of the ways to minimize the effect of these bruises, which give rooms to some reactions that we make reduce the quality of the oil, one of the ways to reduce the effect of these bruises is to process the harvested fruit in about 48 hours after harvesting. Now, the sterilization help to destroy this enzymatic reaction and arrest hydrolysis, which will further reduce the quality of your oil palm produce. And sterilization also makes fruit easy to remove. So after sterilization, it is easier to remove the fruit from the bunches. Sterilization also will enhance the release of oil. So if cooking is not done, if sterilization is not done, the amount of oil that will be gotten from the fresh fruit will be limited. And then sterilization will also destroy chemical that causes foaming. Again, I said that these methods and handling procedures in how you harvest and you process your oil palm again can impact on the quality, including when you see a situation whereby the product begins to foam, especially when used for domestic purposes. So the sterilization will help to prevent or destroy this chemical, which are normally gum and resin, that will cause the foaming of the oil product that will be derived from it. Now, the third stage is threshing. So the first is reception, the second is sterilization, and then after that, threshing. Threshing now, the application of heat has made it easy for the fruit to be detached from the bunch. So the third stage is sterilization and threshing rather, and then the fourth stage is digestion. digestion. Again, if it is the modern method, there's a use of machine that is called the digester. So the digester help to macerate, help to detach the fiber from the shell so that the oil can be extracted from it. And then you have the fifth stage, which is pressing. And then if it's modern method, a press is used. Like I mentioned before, the hydraulic press or the hand screw press can be used to extract the oil from the fiber. And then the last stage, which is the sixth stage, is clarification or dry. And I said in the process of pressing, there's going to be mixture of some impurities and including water with the oil content. And so to do that separation, there is need for further boiling. So a further boiling of the extracted oil for about 1 to 2 hours can bring about the clarification. By that I mean the removal of every form of impurities, including water. And in doing that, you improve on the quality of your product. Now, processed oil is stored in different methods. Could be stored in aluminum or large plastic containers, drum, tankers, tin, or could be stored in bottles. And further processing can be done also on the kernels. Kernels can be cracked, dried, and stored either for local consumption or can serve for export purposes. So on this note, I want to again appeal to you, my listeners, to subscribe and get all the necessary information. All of this information you will get at Silverwell Company. And when you subscribe, you have access to this information. And this is how far we're going to go today on processing of your oil palm. Till we meet again next time. Stay blessed.